Recording? Okay. Quadrant 1, what'd y'all put right here?
1, 0.
Okay, what'd you put up here? 0. Could we go ahead and put some numbers back here even though you didn't do it yet? What would these be? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and add these to it. And what would this be?
0, -1.
Yeah. And just because y'all already knew the first quadrant, that's easy to figure out, isn't it? Okay, what y'all put right here? Let's see. Now, one of the things that students do that kind of bothers me, they'll put 30 degrees halfway between 0 and 45. It actually should be 2/3 of the way up, right? So don't put it just straight out there. Then we got 60 degrees. Okay, who's going to be brave and tell me about 30 degrees?
It's square root of 2.
Okay, I like that. How about 45 degrees?
1 over square root of 2. Same thing.
There you go. 1 over square root of 2. And 60 degrees is,
1 over 2.
comma.
0, 3 of 2.
All right. And then up here beside our circle, we're going to put cosine theta, comma what? Sine theta. So we have a key that tells us what those numbers mean. Now, later on, when we make our last circle that we make that we're going to keep with us, we're going to leave a space in here because we're going to put some other information. For today, it's okay if we just go ahead and put them there, and we're going to put some other information in there eventually. All right. Now, we got the first quadrant. How many of you had it right? How many missed one because you just didn't, weren't using brain? Okay, now, here we go. Take 90 and add 30 to it. What do you get? 90 plus 30 is 120. 90 plus 45.
130.
90 plus 60. 50. And 90 plus 90 is what? 180. So to get these numbers, you just simply add what? 30, 45, and 60. And you get those. 120, 135, 150. Now, at 120 degrees, notice you're directly across from 60. Is that good? Is that all right? So what would the values here be? It's still 1/2, but now it's not a positive 1/2. It is a... And then, how about the square root of 3 over 2? It is still what? Okay. How about 135 degrees? Can you tell me what it's going to be?
Negative square root of 2.
Comma.
1 over square root of 2.
Notice, if you know quadrant 1, you know quadrant 2. Yeah, if you know quadrant 1, you know quadrant 2. So beautiful. I bet you can go ahead and do 150 degrees too.
Negative square root of 3 over 2.
And don't forget the y value is 1/2. All right? Now, I want you to look at that. You got your first quadrant. Move to your second quadrant. So far, so good? Okay. Now, let's talk about quadrant 3. In quadrant 3, we're going to follow the same pattern. Can you tell me how many degrees this one is? 210. How'd you get that? 180 plus 30. All right, tell me how many degrees this one is. 2 what? 225. Because that's 180 plus 45. And then how much is this one right here? Somebody, 180 plus
240.
240, because it's 180 plus 60, so it's 240. Somebody just went on by. And then if you add 30 to this one, you see that you're at what? 270. All right. Now, to do this one, I've had students tell me look back in quadrant 1. I don't. I look in quadrant 2. Because I know this point and this point line up. Can you see how those 2 points line up really pretty? Right there? How this point and this point line up? Except now, both of them are going to be what? Negative. Okay, remember when you had that teacher in Algebra 1 that just kept getting all upset that you didn't know that quadrant 3 was negative, negative? Or that you didn't know quadrant 2 was negative, positive? Do you see why that teacher was upset? All right, tell me the values for this one. Negative 1 over 2. And what? Negative 1 over square root of 2. Can you tell me the values for 240?
Negative 1/2.
I like that.
Negative square root of 2.
And remember, the x value here, see when you come back here, you only come back a half. Here you come back what? Square root of 3 over 2. And if you look at how far you went down here, you went down a half. Down here you went down what? Square root of 3 over 2. All right, quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3. Are we happy so far? See if you can come up with the degrees for quadrant 4. And we always put the degrees on the inside and the point on the outside. And for the student that goes, well, I'm just going to go on the internet and find one of these and copy it. It'll have information that you don't want on it, or it'll have information that's a little confusing on it. You want your own circle. Okay, how many degrees is this one?
300.
300. How about here?
315.
315. How about here?
330.
330. Okay, I know this is going to be a positive 1/2, but how much is the square root of 3 over 2 going to be?
Negative.
Negative, that's right. And then this one's going to be what? 1 over square root of 2, comma, negative 1 over square root of 2. And 330 degrees is going to be square root of 3 over 2, comma, negative 1/2. And to be honest, this is also 360 degrees right there. That's 360 degrees. 0 and 360 are the same place. All right? Make it neat, make it neat, make it neat. All right. This is where it becomes important to know the circle. The cosine of the angle needs to equal 1/2. I need to know what the angle is. Okay, I'll look here. Oh, 60 degrees. Everybody okay? 60 degrees would be one of the angles, right? Mm-hmm. That's the only one your calculator will tell you. But you're going to be in real bad shape, because where else does it equal 1/2? 300. Is that 300 important? Yeah, it's important. See? So the problem that students run into that don't want to learn the unit circle is they keep getting half of everything wrong because they only find one of the two. See the point? Okay? Like if I ask you, where does the sine of an angle equal negative 1 over the square root of 2? Well, everybody goes, oh, Mr. Evans, I see one of them. Tell me one of them. 315. Where's the other one? 225. Then I'll tell you the bad news. Your calculator may not even tell you either one of those. This is also negative 30. by the pen that writes. Negative 30, negative 45, negative 60, negative 90. Can you keep going on your own? Negative 120, negative, and this is also negative 180. And then this would be negative 210, negative 225, negative 240. Usually you only need to know the negatives down to about 90, but we'll just go ahead and put them in all the way around. Negative 270, negative 300. I must have already put y'all's in there, just going, Mr. Travis, you need to write faster. Did y'all? Y'all already know to put them all, y'all already put them all in? Y'all want Evans, write faster. Okay, we'll add those in there. And then this is negative 360, which we would never probably need to know that, but it is. It's negative 360. Now, usually we just want to know the answers between 0 and 360. But sometimes you do need the negative values. If you ever see, if you're doing something that tells you tell all the answers between negative 360 and positive 360, then you have to give them the negative values and the what? Positive. All right. Make sure you got it pretty. We're going to add something to this. And I used to not let my students add it on their unit circle, but we're going to. All right. I used to be mean, cruel. But let's think about tangent of theta. Y'all agree that tangent of theta is sine theta over cosine theta? Tangent is sine theta over cosine. Is that okay? Because opposite the sine, adjacent to what? Cosine. So you're soaking your toes. Oh heck. Oh heck, another hippie on acid. Yeah, come on, let's be honest. Do we want kids talking about soaking their toes? Well, we probably don't want them talking about acid either, but soaking your toes might, you know, pedicures with your girlfriend, boyfriend might be just a little much. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do the tangent of theta and put it beside these. Okay, 1/2 over square root of 3 over 2. And I'm going to work it out over here and I'll put it over there. 1/2 over square root of 3 over 2 equals 1 over what? Square root of 3. Fair enough? Everybody happy with that? Multiply by 2, multiply by 2. You get 1 over square root of 3. So I did what? I put the sine over the cosine. Is that cool? And I'm going to write this amount out here. And it goes outside the parentheses because I'm just going to write what the tangent is. And I used to not let students do this, but we're going to put the tangents on our unit circle too. What is it going to be 1 over the square root of 2 over 1 over the square root of 2? What's that going to equal? Say it. 1. 1 over the square. Yeah, it's going to be a 1. Now, if you notice here, it's going to be square root of 3 over 2 over the 1/2. That's just going to equal what? Square root of 3. This one's going to be 0 over 1. 0 over 1 is 0, folks. 0 over 1 equals 0. Do a little preview here. 0 over 1 equals 0. 1 over 0 undefined. So the tangent here is undefined. Don't use does not exist. Use undefined. Or you can put does not exist. So there's your tangent values for the first quadrant. The tangent values get really easy back here. This is just what? Negative square root of 3. What's this one right here?
-1.
And what's this one?
-1 over 3 squared.
Yeah, 1 over square root of 3. See how easy that is? And this one's 0. Because 0 over -1 is still what? 0. Notice once you do the first quadrant for your tangents, everything else gets easy because it's just what? Positive or negative. This one is positive 1 over the square root of 3. Positive 1. And then positive square root of 3. Positive square root of 3. This one's undefined. This one is negative square root of 3. Negative 1. And negative 1 over square root of 3. And the only reason I'm giving you those is because that way you are already set for everything else. Once you know those and you have those on your unit circle, the cosecants and cotangents are already there for you because they're all reciprocals. So this makes it really easy if you have all of this information right here on your circle. This is everything you need for degrees. Okay? I asked you, where does the tangent equal -1? 315 degrees. Or what? 135. And if you want to, you can give it to me in negatives. Unless I tell you I want negatives, just give it to me in positives. Yes, ma'am. Okay, tangent. Yeah, let me slow down here. Tangent of theta equals -1. What is theta equal? Well, 135, is that okay? And then where else? 315. Now, your calculator, I think, would only give you the 135, but your calculator might actually give you -45. Okay? But notice, with -45 and 315 are the what? Same place.
So like you just did the tangent of theta, and so we got like we got the numbers, and then so is that just taking like the reverse way of doing it and getting the angles?
Yeah.
Like you just showed. Okay.
Yeah, I'm wanting you to find the angles where it happens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because if I just ask you what's the tangent of 60 degrees, you just write square root of 3. And your calculator works for that. Nice. But when you want to find out what angle makes a certain amount, like what do I take the tangent of to get 1? Well, everybody goes 45 degrees. But where else? 225. And when you're working the problems, that's the one you'll leave off, and that's the one that'll mess you up. You just about, when you're working problems, got to always go from 0 to 360. Some problems, and we'll define them when we get there, you'll go from -90 to 90. And you'll only look for your answers between -90 and 90. Some of them, you'll only look for answers between 0 and 180. And we'll tell you when that's the case. All right? But you get the idea that if you don't have the unit circle, it doesn't help for me to tell you where to look for the angles. Like I go, we need to know where the tangent of theta, I don't want to write it right there. I want to know where the tangent of theta equals square root of 3 in quadrant 3. $240. Is that cool? Yeah. See what I'm getting at? Is, yeah, when we start telling you what we need, if you don't have your unit circle, you can't find it. And the sad part is, you can't ask your calculator that. All right? That's where you run into the problem. All these people have always spent all their time tapping their calculator. They can't find that number. Now, there's formulas they can use to find it. They can punch it in their calculator and get one of the answers and then do all the little tricks. But why not learn the unit circle? That way you don't have to learn a bunch of formulas. Okay? Now, this part right here, I, being the kind, caring teacher that I am, made you a pretty circle. And what you can do is go ahead today and everything that you see on that left board, put on this circle, really pretty. That way you can practice it and you can have your pretty circle. Well, the more time, now, someone says, Mr. Evans, why do you have us write it down so many times? Because the more times you write it down, the better chance you have of remembering it. You want to move back to your desk now, sir? There you go. Okay, now you're still on video. Don't do anything we can get upset about. Remember the guy that, remember the lady that's on video that wants the president to give her a pardon? I'm still laughing about her.